We got it working now?
I think so. Carol, can you hear me? Probably not, because you're probably not there. Okay. Hi, guys. Sorry about all of the craziness. It's one of those weird things. I don't think I have anybody in live yet, though. So we'll give it a few minutes and then we'll get started. I got to remember next time we do a 24-hour, make sure everything is working. Hello, Angel. Hello, Marie. Angelina. I always forget to say the whole name. So this is the best we can do. We were having problems with YouTube. And if the camera is if the camera is shaking, it is purely my fault. Because it's resting on my knees. Can you see? I'm trying not to show off my room. Aw, Eric can't make it. He says he's setting up his house.
Is that Eric Snyder?
Yes. Where is Carol? Why is Carol not here?
And if I was doing it from my phone, I'd be able to see. But I can't do one or the other.
Well, see, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to see chat. But it's working. Next time, what I'll do is I'll send you the questions. I'll send the person the questions and then just do a video and just have them space the questions out. Like, give me a minute between, or a few seconds, maybe 10 seconds between each question, so I can cut them up and then to the video and then do it that way. I don't know. Oh, Marie, I don't know where anybody is. We're doing it. We got it working. We got it working. So this is our special. This is my special guest. But I will wait to do announcements when I have more people in. Because you guys already know who she is. Well, at least Carol does. At least Carol does. I don't know if I can zoom in. Oh, there I go. I can zoom in. I don't have to show everything behind it. Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, unfortunately, in Facebook or YouTube was just not being friendly. And now there's nobody here. I frightened them all away. Carol, by the way, thank you for getting rid of my problem people. It was crazy. Just out of nowhere, we were in swamp heaven. Hi, Shino. Hi, Cook. We have people. Because we couldn't get YouTube to work. That's why. Because today we have a special guest. So this is a first for my channel. This is an interview. So you're not going to be seeing me because I'm not the important one here. Let me introduce our person. Our special guest. This is, how do you want me to announce you? We didn't talk about that.
Do you want me to just do it?
You can, just really brief. Don't give out any identifying. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Abby. You may see me in the chat as one of the moderators, so don't be shy.
But she is so much more than that. Her mom worked at Brookfield Zoo, and I don't want to give away too much of our questions, but she spent a lot of time with her mom up at the zoo. Marie says, "Oh, hey, Abby."
Hi, Marie.
She cannot see chat at all. Just FYI. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the interview. We have 12 questions. After the interview, if you have questions, or during the interview, you can ask questions. The normal YouTube stuff. Nothing. And if it shakes, I apologize. I don't know how to make it stable. It's resting on my knee at the moment because that's the best I can do. What was your mom's official title at Brookfield Zoo?
So my mom's official title was the lead zookeeper for what is now known as the Fragile Rainforest. At the time I knew it, it was the Fragile Desert.
But it has been changed here and there over the years, is my understanding. I think it's now
it is now, as I said, known as the Fragile Rainforest.
Yes. And what were the animals that she was responsible for?
So my mom was responsible for a wide variety. The Amur leopard, porcupines, lions, tigers, sloth bears, polar bears, the brown bears, wombats, to name a few.
Okay. I did not realize that wombats fit into that, but that would be very cool. I am sorry that you're having technical difficulties. Yes, a little bit of everything. We were talking about it, and I'm like, I really want to have a guest on. And so I asked her, and she was like, yeah. So this is a hard question, and I know that, or at least it would be for me. It would be really hard because, as you guys know, I have way too many favorite animals. But did your mom have, or did you have any favorite animals that your mom worked with?
So I have 3, 2 of which are brothers. But I have the Amur leopard, Sasha, and then the 2 brown bear brothers, Jimmy and Axie.
I'm going to try something because my camera is going wild. I gotta try and keep you in sight while doing this. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to do my best to keep her in focus and everything. But I also know that I'm shaking like crazy. Were there any of the animals that scared you?
I did not have any animals that scared me.
Oh no. What is going on? There it goes. Maybe.
But there were a couple of animals that did give my mom some trouble.
Oh. And guys, that is never good. When the zookeeper is having troubles with animals, that is not good.
Well, I'll kind of give a little bit of a story here. At one point during during my mom's night shift, she went in to feed the porcupines. One of the porcupines was grumpy and perceived her as a threat. Went straight through her work boots and everything.
Now, so that everybody knows, the porcupines that she's talking about are not our North American porcupines. These are probably African crested porcupines, I'm assuming, which have quills that can be up to 14 inches long. So they're pretty good sized. I'm assuming they're African crested. Okay. Do the animals in zoos have specialized diets?
Yes, depending on the type of animal that it is. Because it's not a one for all diet for these animals.
Right.
Some of them, because of health issues, whatever the case may be, have special dietary restrictions that the keepers that are in charge of those animals have to be aware of.
And how important would it, let me make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself. How important is it that the visitors to the zoo remember not to feed the animals?
It is very important that the visitors do not feed the animals. Why, you may ask, is once again, some of these animals may have dietary restrictions, and if the visitors are throwing food into the pens for them to eat, and whatever the visitor has put in their enclosure could very well make them sick, and they could possibly die.
Yeah, so we don't want to do that. And that includes anything that you might have on you. You want to keep all of your belongings where they need to be.
Keep all of your belongings with your person, please.
Do you have any special memories from being around the animals?
I do have a few, one of which or two of which I'll share. One of them was Mom had just picked me up from preschool at the time, and she had to go back for her night shift, and so she was responsible for feeding the animals at night, during that time some of these animals could have their enrichment. So I would often go with Mom to give the animals their enrichment toys. Well, I got to the brown bears and the polar bears. They like to eat the drumsticks, the ice cream cones, for their enrichment. So, and they would come up to the enclosure behind the scenes, and they would eat it out of my hand. And they'd let me scratch their noses.
Now, it is important that, in case you don't understand the way that zoos work, is at no time are you, as an employee, are you able to have complete, you're behind a protected, I don't want to call it a net, but it's like fencing, and the animals cannot get to you necessarily. It is limited contact, so you can have like access to them so that you can do medical stuff if need be, but at no time during that time would Abby be in serious trouble. Anyway, just had to throw that out there. Also, can you guys see me okay? And you can, because I'm not seeing much in the way of chat going on. And I know sometimes my phone likes to flip out. I guess not. Did you have another one you wanted to share?
So that was one of them. The other one was I was helping after I helped Mom finish her stuff at the Fragile Kingdom. I was able to go with a couple of other keepers that knew my mom well to go feed the elephants
Oh.
their dinner and their snacks for the evening. And kind of the same idea, because they knew me and my mom, they knew they could trust me and that I would not endanger them somehow. And so they would come over to the fence where the keepers would be, and they would let me rub on their trunks and give them scratches and everything.
And
So I was able to show
sorry.
them some love.
So I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Trust is I can't stress this enough. Trust is so important in zookeeping. If an animal doesn't trust you, good luck. Yeah, Marie, you can't see me because the camera has to be focused on Abby. So, is the size of the elephants intimidating the first time you're around them?
For some, yes. But because Mom had brought me to that and brought me to her job on multiple occasions, the elephants didn't freak me out. For me, it was more rhinos that scared me at first. But then after being around them long enough to know, it wasn't an issue.
Hi, everybody. Carol, what's wrong? Hi, Cook. Or were you always comfortable from the beginning with them?
After watching my mom do it a few times, I then felt comfortable doing it.
Oh. Go ahead, sorry. I was getting messages.
No, you're fine. But once I could start gaining the trust of the animals that she worked with, then I was okay to show those animals love and attention, because some of the others wouldn't let me do that because there was not that trust.
Right. So for those of you that just came in, this is Abby. She is one of our moderators, and her mom worked at one of the major zoos within the United States. And she's talking about her experiences because she got to be up there with her mom during the nighttime. For those of you also who may be thinking, well, what is enrichment? Enrichment is it can be anything. It can be food, it can be smells, it can be toys. Yeah.
The weird stuff, like fun stuff inside the toys. Depending on the holiday, some of the staff members will, especially for the carnivores, they would a whole bunch of meat and like giant ice cube blocks, like the leopards, the tigers, the lions, all of that. They get giant meat blocks and have the time of their life with it. And once in a while, the polar bears and the brown bears will get their drumsticks on top of that. They also do it for birthdays as well.
Yep. I have a question that's a little bit different than the ones that I had for you, but it comes from Cook. And he wants to know, and it's a little bit controversial actually, but I'm going to ask it. And if you decide that you want to, not answer it, just let me know or let him know. What do you think about dolphins in captivity?
That is actually a very good question. However, the dolphins that are at Brookfield Zoo.
Okay, it's Erie. Sorry, go ahead.
And this is kind of a bit of a big background into what the Chicago Zoological Society does. For the breeding programs that they have, they are able to, we will keep 2 sets of breeding pairs of animals, and the others that are ready to be bred, we will send to Miami. We can send to the Bronx. We can send animals wherever they need a breeding pair of animals. However, those that were born and raised at Brookfield Zoo and they are not yet ready to be bred with another animal of the same species, they may take a little more time to get them used to certain things, but I don't see it as them being born and raised in captivity, because that's not really what it is. If that answers your question, Cook.
Okay. This is an interview with a friend of mine whose mother worked at a major zoo within the United States. He says, yeah, I think it does. Do you think the public has a different view on zoo animals versus the reality? I.e., being that, do you think we see the bears or the big cats as more friendly than they really are?
Okay, so if looking at the big cats for a second, if they did not have their trainers or their keepers working with them and they were basically out in the wild, they are not friendly animals. Because if they see one of us and they perceive us as a threat, they're going to come right at us and attack us. But since the keepers and the trainers that work with them on a daily basis, they're a little more docile, but they have to, and we cannot stress this enough, they have to earn your trust before they let you touch them in any way, shape, or form.
Just to add to this, these are not, they are a little bit more docile than the cats in the wild, right? But they still are not pet level. So if
they are not made to be in a home
we
as a pet,
we're going to talk about that in the next question, but I want to stress that, as Carol just said, that a wild animal is still a wild animal. The cats react to their keepers, and the keepers may, through the, I don't know what the correct term for it is, but their safety area,
through their protective zone.
their protective zone, and they're able to have physical contact with the animals. But that does not mean that if a keeper somehow ended up inside the outside enclosure with one of those animals, that they would be safe. A person crossing that barrier, let's say I crossed the barrier when the cats were out, what probably am I going to expect to happen?
If, and again, if the keeper is not present for that animal, and if someone from the public steps over that protective barrier between us and the animals, that animal may hurt you in any way, shape, or form.
So it's,
and then you probably end up in the hospital for a month.
So it is never a good idea to do that. Let me just add that in some cases, the animal itself pays the price for that. So don't do it.
Yeah, so don't step over that protective barrier and think it's ha-ha funny, because not only we as humans pay the price for it, but so will the animal. And we don't want to have to unalive animals because someone chose to be stupid.
Good answer, good response. Should people make pets of any of the animals that your mom worked with?
Absolutely not.
Even if it's just a porcupine.
No. Don't do it. Because these animals come from the wild, yet their ancestors are members of the wild population. So it is best to not make pets of these types of animals because you do not want to be seen as their prey, and then you end up getting attacked by that animal because that animal does not have your trust, unlike a normal house cat or dog.
And just to add to that, not only do you might think that that animal trusts you and might be fine with you, but the minute that you let your guard down, the minute something happens and that animal reacts, usually not a good thing. So
something bad is usually going to come out of that. And again, then us as the owner of said animal pay the price for it, and so does the animal. And then that animal has to be unalive because of someone else's stupidity.
yeah. What is something that you wish people knew about carnivores in zoos? I know we sort of maybe talked about that a little bit. Maybe.
So the big thing about our carnivore eaters at the zoo, they get a little bit of all of the meat groups like chicken, beef, pork. Like, they get a wide variety of that. However, there are some things that they typically don't get because, again, of it's bad for the animal's health, or it may be toxic for the animal, whatever the case may be. So please be in mind when most of these animals are raw fed, do have a raw feed diet. That would be your leopards, your tigers, your lions, the otters, and some of the other animals like the fennec fox have some sort of a raw fed diet. So they eat mainly poultry, like basically most meats, just not the overly processed food that we as Americans have.
And it's also important to note that the animals are not getting like second grade, like not it's they're getting the same type of meat that you would eat at a restaurant. It's not grade B or C or D. It's good meat. And plus, I think they get bones occasionally.
Yes, bone marrow bones
So
are good. So bone marrow for those animals, the bones that have that are a very good source of protein for the animals, and it also helps with their dental. By chewing on the bones, it files down the sharp teeth that most animals will have.
any idea how much meat they might go through in a month? Say for the lions. If you don't know, we can look it up, but later. A lot.
Roughly a good 80 to 100 pounds of meat, maybe 200 in a month for all of the animals that are on a raw fed diet.
For those of you who are just coming in, our guest is Abby. She is one of my moderators. She is also the mother.
Your daughter.
Sorry. The daughter of somebody that used to work at Brookfield Zoo and with the carnivores. So lots of responsibilities, lots of animals that she worked with. Hi everybody that just came in. We've already talked about this, so we're going to skip question 9, which is talking about the barriers. Are you aware of any safety protocols that zookeepers have to follow in order to keep themselves safe when working with the animals?
So questions 9 and 10 actually kind of go together.
Okay.
So I'm going to answer them both. Yes, it is important that everyone stays behind the protective barriers at all times. Now, yes, there are safety protocols for the zookeepers. So, for instance, if my mom was cleaning out the indoor enclosures for the leopards, let's say, the leopards have to be in their outdoor enclosure for the duration that my mom is inside cleaning their enclosures, their nighttime enclosures. Because if the animals do not have my mom's trust, and she's in their indoor exhibit or enclosure, she could potentially get hurt or, worst case scenario, unalived. That did not happen. The only time that she had to go to the hospital was for the porcupine quills through her boot. They had to cut her work boots off to get the quills out.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Tracy, I'm going to answer your question, but it doesn't pertain to the topic. So I'm going to hold off until the end of our interview and then I will answer it. I'm not skipping it. I just I need to get through the interview. So, I know we're not at the end, but does anybody have questions pertaining to the live? I'll give you a few minutes. If they pop up, you can type them up, and when they pop up, I will ask. We are down to 2 more questions.
So, again, if the zookeepers, I will add to this for question 10. If the zookeepers have to go into the outdoor enclosure to clean out the stuff from inside, then there's a protective barrier from the keeper to the animal while the keeper is outside. If that makes sense.
Yep.
That way the animal cannot hurt the keeper, especially if it is a keeper that they already know and they trust.
I also want to stress that even with that trust, accidents can happen. And I use the word accident because I don't always believe that every time that a lion or a tiger hurts somebody that they know, that it's necessarily out of aggression. That's my 2 cents. I can see the wheels spinning.
And you're actually right on that. It may not, even if the trust is there between the animal and the keeper, and if they reacted to that keeper because it was a fear reaction, they accidentally hurt their keeper. The animals don't know that. But there could be a bad outcome because of it. But they do have a lot of training sessions with these animals to minimize those accidents ever happening.
So
very rarely does an accident like that happen.
I also want to mention that we just had tornadoes in our area. Let me tell you, if you work in a zoo, there's no such thing as during bad weather. You still have to work. You have to make sure that the animals are safe because they come first.
Yeah, so in the event of bad weather for the zoo, all of the keepers are bringing the animals into their indoor enclosures, because there's no telling how bad the storm damage could be to their outside enclosures. And so the keepers will then have to bring all of the animals inside. And after they get all the animals inside and they're checked on, make sure they're all okay, they then, especially if the tornado sirens are going off, like they did the other day in our areas, they then have to find cover for themselves until the all clear is given.
And I know that down in Florida, when they had the hurricanes, every available space is used, from bathrooms. I've seen it. I've seen where they literally stuff birds inside the bathrooms. So, just a note, if you're ever in Florida during a hurricane, do not go inside the bathrooms. Don't do it. Here is another controversial question. Are zoos prisons for the animals that live there? Because there are people who think this.
No. Again, thinking of how the Chicago Zoological Society does their programs, these animals have the ability to be outdoors, but they also have animal ambassadors. So if you're ever on a field trip to Brookfield Zoo or Lincoln Park Zoo, and they do like a ambassador talk for your group, that is also a form of enrichment for the animal, but in a more social environment.
And those animals that they use for the ambassador program, they are worked with every single day.
Yes.
Because you don't want an animal that's not socialized being thrown into a situation where there's going to be a ton of people, because that's asking for trouble.
Right. And that can be dangerous.
Even if it's not an animal that is necessarily seen as dangerous, it could be dangerous for the animals, so as well as potentially for people. So, last question. Are you ready? If you were a zookeeper, what animals would you love to see exhibited at the zoo that your mom worked at that they don't currently display?
So there are a lot of animals that I could think of. Or some we already have, but we have very low numbers. The okapi being one of them. Buffalo, again, we have, but low numbers. And I have not seen these animals in quite a minute. The baboons, or the not the lemur, but it's kind of like a spider monkey. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Oh. So, South American. Howler monkey? Maybe? I don't know.
And the other ones that I haven't seen a lot are gazelles.
That
we
would
used to have a big gazelle exhibit, and the apex too. We don't have any of those at all.
So we were having an interview with our guest, talking about zoo animals, more precisely carnivores, and a few others. I know Brookfield Zoo is getting ready to open. What is it called? I wanna say Ape Forest, and I know that's not right. Anyway, they are redoing their Tropic World, and that I believe is geared to open this summer. And it is going to give their primates both inside and outside habitats. It looks amazing. They also have a big master plan that they're working through that is going to be amazing. So Brookfield Zoo, definitely, if you're in the Chicago area and you have not been, go check it out. Hi Taco Man 40. Hi Sonic 3 Prototype Sonic. If you enjoyed today's live and you want to see more of these lives, hit up the likes and any funny stories about any of the animals.
One of the last times that I was with my mom helping her do her nighttime feedings, she went to go feed the alpacas. And apparently one of the alpacas did not like what he wanted, did not like what he got for dinner. So he spat in her face.
Oh, if you don't,
like, really?
If you don't know what an alpaca is a South American relative to the camel, and they do spit. So that's what an alpaca is. Llamas, guanacos, yeah, they all spit. If you have any other questions for Abby, you can put those up. She's laughing.
Yes, the tropical forests will be opening this summer.
And it will feature gorillas, orangutans, South American monkeys, I think gibbons.
So opening in summer 2025, Brookfield Zoo, Chicago's tropical forest, will be one of the largest outdoor spaces for primates in any accredited U.S. zoo, spanning 125,000 square feet.
Wow.
This new addition builds on Tropic World's legacy, emulating the natural homes for gorillas, orangutans, and monkeys, featuring 4 dynamic habitats and microclimates modeled after Africa, Asia, and South America. Tropical Forest is designed with the latest advancements in primate care and welfare to meet the unique needs of the zoo's primates. Tropical Forest marks a major milestone in the zoo's next century plan and a leap forward in primate habitat design and conservation.
You can look up on YouTube and see their master plan. Guys, it is incredible. Especially if you live in the Chicago area or you used to live in the Chicago area, definitely check it out. Any other questions relative to what we were talking about? Hope everybody is having a great day. Guys, we have 9 people in live and only 7 likes. And I suspect that we might even have a few dislikes. Okay. I'm going to give you guys another couple minutes because we are approaching 55. Well, we're 5 minutes away from the end. Is there anything that you want to add, Abby?
Also, doing some research, and this was from July 16th of last year. They are going to be redoing the outdoor African exhibit, which will also have an impact on the number of elephants that we have on exhibit currently.
So they will be increasing the herd?
Correct.
And we're not talking, guys, we are not talking about Asian elephants. We're talking about African elephants. If I'm not mistaken. And just to add to a little bit of what Abby was talking about earlier about the rhinos are like puppies, pretty much, in zoos. I mean, they love attention. That's based on what I've seen from videos anyway. They seem to really soak it up.
Also, if you are on YouTube and come across Fiona the hippopotamus and her baby, I suggest you watch those because they are great.
They are from, I believe, the Cincinnati Zoo.
Cincinnati.
And
yes.
Just adorable, guys. If you've never seen a baby hippo, you're missing out. Just saying. I think it's called Habitat Africa. But their whole entire African area at Brookfield Zoo is amazing. If you go, you have to see the painted dogs. Because to me, I could spend hours just at that particular exhibit.
And I, again, could be by the leopards, the sloth bears, the wolves, too, because we have a big population of wolves over there.
Yep.
And the last time I was there, they had 3 new wolf pups.
I saw where they just introduced a new into the painted dog pack, so that's pretty cool. They do that occasionally. Any other questions, guys? I can tell you that I have been stressing about this for months. It seems like months. I have learned lessons from doing this. I think Abby has learned lessons about this. I know I have. I look forward to whatever's coming up in the future for this channel. We've been having some hiccups, but I appreciate each and every one of you, and hopefully tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we are going to be talking about some more zoo exhibits. We're going to be doing the Kingdom of the Night from the Henry Dorley Zoo, Brookfield, one of my favorite zoos in the United States, even though I've never been there. As well as the turkey vulture. Hi, Block Guy. Yeah, that needs to be figured out. Probably not today, but for a future guest, perhaps. Abby, any last words? Because I don't see any questions.
So I'm going to show you a picture of one of my favorite animals. And she was born March 3rd of 2020. Let me fix my brightness.
Yeah, I don't know how well this is gonna... Oh, what a cutie.
Here's little Sasha.
How old is Sasha?
So
No, she was born in 2020?
And so we're in March of 2025, so she's 5 years old.
Okay. And she is an Amur leopard, which means that originally her species would have come from Russia. Maybe parts of China.
Let me go back to the...
They are beautiful. And a lot of zoos house them. A lot of zoos.
Sasha was born at Brookfield Zoo, native to southwestern Russia. Amur leopards are considered among the rarest of big cats in the world. Do you notice the larger spots in a pattern throughout Sasha's body? These are called rosettes, and they help Amur leopards camouflage in snowy habits. Amur leopards are critically endangered due to hunting and habitat loss. And the species has an estimated population of less than 200 remaining in the wild.
AZA zoos do breed them. Russia is involved in protective programs, as well as China. Not saying that everything is perfect on that score, but at least within the AZA, there are some coverage in case something goes wrong. What, Block Guy? I don't know why we're waiting and waiting. And so stories like this coming from zoos literally happen every day. Zoos are a great way for people to connect with wildlife. Kids that live in Chicago, most of them will never see these animals in the wild in their lifetime. When I was in college, it was predicted that in my lifetime, we would lose 30% of the world's wildlife. So if you think of African elephants, Asian elephants, the rhinos, gone, that's pretty sad. It's a pretty bleak future, one that I honestly don't want to see happen. So
yeah, and something that I don't want to see happen either. So if you do happen to go to Brookfield Zoo, they do have an adoption program for these animals, but you don't actually bring the animals to your house. So if I wanted to adopt Sasha as like a sponsored animal, I could do that.
what?
My sister and I, we're sponsored parents for Jimmy and Axie at one point, which is the two brown bears that Brookfield Zoo currently have?
I have a question. What is the cost to visit Brookfield Zoo? That I don't know, and I can't search it because it'd mess up.
I'm going to look for you.
Now, you might be thinking, well, what does it mean to adopt? Adoptions, basically you help pay for the animal's food. Or it might be.
Yeah, so basically, if you adopt an animal through Brookfield Zoo, you're helping pay for their food, any vet costs that might come up. It can go toward their enrichment for that specific animal. But the money that you pay to adopt this animal will go towards stuff like their food, their vet bills, their enrichment, things like that.
And it's not something that, let's say you adopt Sasha, okay? You are not, if Sasha gets sick, the amount that you're paying for adoption isn't going to skyrocket just because she's sick. It would stay, I'm assuming it would stay the rate at which you adopted the animal.
Yes.
It is really sad. I agree, Black Guy. A lot of it, there's a lot of really beautiful animals that unfortunately are either critically endangered or endangered. And I know zoos can be expensive. I think I spent $35 just to get into the Shed Aquarium in Chicago, just for myself. But your money that you pay to go into the zoo goes towards conservation, it goes towards enrichment, it goes to the operation of the zoo itself. And since zoos are nonprofit, the money that they make has to go back into the running of the zoo.
Okay, so for parking for Brookfield Zoo, parking for the North Gate, $17. Parking at the South Gate is $20. Parking fees include a Cook County parking tax and Illinois parking excise tax. And then, so yes, you have to pay for parking. Adults are $22.95. Seniors 65 and over, $18.95. Children 3 to 11, $15.95. Zoo admission is free for children 2 and under.
So it's not something that maybe you're going to do once a month. This might be something that you do every quarter. But I think a visit to the zoo is time well spent. You may not see everything that first visit because Brookfield Zoo is huge.
Now they do offer memberships, so if you
Yes.
want to go more than once, free admission for 1 year, parking for one vehicle at the main entrance, which is First Avenue and 31st Street. Member discounts on select attractions inside the zoo weekly member emails, restaurant discounts, education program, and special event discounts, and more. For the Plus membership, it would be, so basic for 1 year is $145 for a family. Plus would be $189, and unlimited is $289. Now for individuals, Plus would be $109. Unlimited is $165. And for seniors 65 and over, it's $89. So all year, every member receives free admission and free parking. If you purchase this membership as a family, the basic would have 2 free adults. Plus and unlimited are 2 adults free. Free admission for adults, children, or grandchildren under the age of 18. Yes. Free guest each visit. Guest must accompany named member. The Plus has one. The Plus membership and the unlimited membership both have one free guest. They have one-time use guest admission tickets. Basic has 4, Plus has 6, unlimited has 8. And it has free parking at the main entrance. The unlimited plan has free parking at the south entrance also. And then free admission to ticketed attractions. The Family Plus has 8 tickets. The unlimited family membership has unlimited, obviously. The individual membership has 4 tickets for the Plus. The unlimited, obviously it's unlimited. But I could, if I choose to do the unlimited plan, I get 1 free adult, 1 additional guest, 2 one-time use guest admission tickets, free parking at main and south entrance, and unlimited free admission to ticketed attractions.
I just want to add that a lot of times if you do have membership, when zoos offer classes or activities that maybe cost extra, the type of things that we talk about when we do our zoo to-dos, sometimes you get discounts on those as well. And sometimes if the zoo has a gift shop, sometimes you get discounts on that too. So it's definitely something to check into.
And if you're also someone with special needs, like if you're wheelchair bound or have limited mobility for any number of reasons, they are quite wheelchair accessible. But I would recommend, if you do plan a day at the zoo and you have to rent like a electrical, they call them the ECVs, which is basically a motorized wheelchair for most users. Just make sure you book for that ahead of time.
Always a good idea.
That way, if they have a limited amount for that day, if you book for it ahead of time, it's going to be guaranteed that you get one. So basically, they take reservations as a priority for those versus basically walking up and getting it. You're not totally guaranteed to get one.
Yeah. A lot of times those are first come, first serve. Also, if you're gonna be visiting your local zoo, if you have a service animal, and I'm talking an actual service animal, not an emotional support animal, check with the zoo ahead of time. Most zoos are going to be okay with you having it, but just call the zoo and let them know ahead of time.
And also, if you're doing the reservation, like if you're booking your trip online for Brookfield Zoo especially, make sure you make a note of that.
Yep. Also, if you have somebody who has like a nurse or a caregiver that's going to be with them, check with the zoo. Some zoos have it where the caregiver gets in free. So, it doesn't help to ask what they offer.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
You're not guaranteed that every zoo is going to have that, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And if you are the parent of a child with autism, ask about sensory kits. Call before you go to make sure they have them. But a lot of zoos are starting that too. So there's always something new going on as far as accessibility goes. I'm a big fan of it. I will I will say that some zoos are way better than others. I hate to say it, but some of the best accessibility that I've ever seen have come from, excuse me, the European zoos, to be honest. But it doesn't hurt to ask, guys. And Carol says, I do believe they have them. Is there anything else? Just want to remind you guys that tonight at 7 p.m. Hey guys, we have 20 people in live and only 9 likes. How about giving me a like, because that helps more people find me. You are free, guys, to chime in questions or comments. Those are always welcome.
If you have any more questions for me, I'm always happy to answer them.
Yep. Yes, hit up that like button. Also,
the more we can build video, the better.
Also, just sorry for the camera. Also, subscribers, so you're aware, due to some issues with grumpy people, I have switched off comments. You can still comment on videos and shorts, but for the time being, either myself or my moderators have to approve them. I encourage you to comment, but just know that there may be a pause in them appearing online. So just something FYI, just to keep in mind.
And also, keep in mind that we might have children watching, so please, 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 please keep it kid friendly. I know cussing of any kind.
Yes, because that will get you into no land. And I gotta rephrase that. That will get you possibly reported and possibly hidden from, well, probably not hidden from the channel, but it could lead you into a 24-hour timeout, and that's not fun for anybody. So, yes, as Carol said, keep it PG. I'm watching Abby, like, she looks so tired. And she works, and I'm like, I'm sitting here and I've got.
And I have to be at work in about an hour.
I have a live to plan and a video to put out and a little short to put out. Guys, I am changing the way that I do subscriber videos. They will be, I'm still going to do them, but every other video will be a subscriber video. Yeah, so.
Sorry if you guys hear my landlord's dog barking.
Just barely, I think.
Well, he's coming through pretty clear on this side. So if you hear him, I do apologize.
One of our last lives, no, it wasn't live, it was a short. The short on the Rhino. Hey Chelsea. The short on the Rhino hit over 500 likes, guys. No, 500 views. I'm sorry. Yeah, can we please say thank you to Abby for coming in and being our first guest?
You're welcome, everyone.
I don't know who. Sorry. I don't know who's going to be the next guest. I have ideas in my head. I just tend to get sloppy. Lucy says thank you, even though she was coming in a little bit late. Marie says thank you. So yeah, just due to some issues in live or in the comment section and a little bit in the lives, I'm having to get a little bit stricter with things. So until that fixes itself, we're just going to play safe. No, Abby, I didn't tell anybody who was coming in for the guest. I was playing a gorilla tag. How to the way I met a ghost. Kenneth Harrington. I have no idea what that is. No idea. But yeah, it was kept hush hush. You were a top secret. Your identity was a top secret. Just in case things went
south of the border.
Yeah, which they almost did. I got asked to babysit on Saturday. And I'm like, I can't. I have a guest coming into my live and I can't reschedule. So you helped me not to have to babysit. Who would like a visit with And I don't mean puppies because they're not puppies. I don't know why I call them that. Would you guys like a live with the pups? I know some of you really enjoy seeing the dogs. Marie's like, me. I would be outside with them. Oh, I know. That's why I asked. So we might do that one day this week when I would need to schedule that to a time when I know there's nobody home. Because I know what happened the last time I went live. I couldn't put the video up because my brother sort of threatened all of everybody that comes into my live, and that wasn't cool. Guys, thank you TCPG. Well, I try not to be too funny, but okay. We do need to say goodbye to Abby. She's got to get ready for work and all of that fun stuff, and she probably needs to eat. So, thank you, Abby.
I took the feeding portion before live started, so I'm all set until later.
Will you be joining us for 7 o'clock live? Or are you still going to be at work?
I don't get off of work till 8 p.m. tonight, so
Aww.
I will have to sadly miss.
Okay. Okay. We'll excuse you. So everybody.
Until that time, I can make 7 o'clock.
Yes. 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Bye, Abigail. Have a good afternoon from Marie. She says hi and goodbye. We're gonna say goodbye. And thank you again for coming in. It was a blast. I hope the questions were good. Carol says have fun at work.
Carol, work? Yes, you do not know. You do not want to know half of the stuff that happened at work yesterday. Just don't push it.
We will touch base. I will touch base with Abby at a later date to get a critique. But we're going to say goodbye so that she can get ready. We are an hour and 28 minutes into live. Not our longest live by any means, but you guys have a great day. I am going to end live at this point because I have nature stuff to do. By the way, I just want to say that I saw my first jumping spider today, and I didn't get to film it because it was gone. Be kind to everybody, guys, at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for more live craziness. Goodbye.
And I will see y'all